Premier, during a Liberal fundraiser in Stratford in November of last year, before the last election, you were asked about GO train service to Stratford. You were quoted as saying, full-day, two-way GO service is a priority, and expanding GO service is a priority. I then asked you to clarify your plans for GO transit in Perth-Wellington. It's now a year later, and you still haven't answered. I've twice written to the Minister of Transportation, and he still hasn't answered. I asked the Premier, can we conclude from your silence that you were just telling people what they wanted to hear before an election?
Minister of Transportation.
Minister of Transportation.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I want to thank the member opposite for that question. I had the opportunity a number of months ago, actually, Speaker, while at the AMO conference, to have a face-to-face conversation with the mayor from the community that he referenced, the mayor of Stratford. It was a great conversation. As I've spoken to many mayors and council members and others from communities right across the province of Ontario, Speaker, there is exceptional excitement, as there should be, about our government's very ambitious plan to invest significantly in transit and transportation infrastructure over the next decade. I look forward to having continued dialogue and conversations with the Mayor of Stratford and mayors and regional chairs from communities in York Region, in Durham, in Peel, in Toronto, in Niagara, and elsewhere, Speaker, while Metrolinx and the Ministry of Transportation continues to do its work, because all of our decisions going forward as to where we and how we invest that money, I mentioned a second ago, Speaker, will be based on business case analysis and evidence so that we can provide positive results for communities right across the region and the province. Thanks, Speaker.
Speaker, that was an interesting answer. Speaker, it looks like the government is leaving out even the possibility that GO trains could serve Stratford in the future. It sounds like the minister isn't giving us something, isn't even giving us something aspirational in nature. I wrote to the Premier in November of 2013. She sent my letter to the Minister of Transportation. On April 15th of this year, after months of silence, I wrote to the minister's predecessor. I wrote again to this minister on September 23rd. My letters remain unanswered. Speaker, the government's silence is deafening. When will this government start planning for the future and acknowledge the need for future GO service expansion to Stratford? And Speaker, when will it start answering its mail?
Thank you, Minister.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I have to admit to the legislature, Speaker, I find this truly fascinating. Not only the question that I hear from this member today, but the questions that were raised last week while I was at Estimates Committee from some of his colleagues. Since my time in this legislature, since first being elected in 2012, Speaker, at every instance I've heard nothing from members of that particular caucus and party about anything with respect to building Ontario up, anything with respect, Speaker, to making more investments in crucial infrastructure. What I've heard, Speaker, time and time again, is about their fascination with the need to slash and burn at every turn. And yet, while at Estimates Committee last week, while I stand in my place at this moment, while I did last week as well, whether we're talking about that community or others, I hear repeatedly about their somewhat belated desire to support our plans to invest in crucial infrastructure. It's peculiar to me, Speaker, that I hear this repeatedly. What I can tell that member is that over the next decade, this government, under the leadership of this Premier, will invest $29 billion, up to $15 billion for the GTA, up to $14 billion for the rest of Ontario, to deliver